Pierson Regular Council agenda meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. on February 4th. Bob, you gonna do the roll call, please?
Mayor Gray Leonard.
Here.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Here.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
Here.
Councilwoman Brandy Peterson.
Here.
Town Attorney Scott Simpson.
Here.
Town Planner Mark Corrett.
Here.
And Yvonne and I and Lewis are present, and the Volusia Sheriff's Office is
Councilwoman, would you do some invocation, please?
Absolutely. Let us pray. Dear Lord, I want to come to you tonight with great thanks for our wonderful community. I ask that you please keep all our citizens and all that may pass through safe in whatever they're doing. Dear Lord, I ask you to please grant special blessings on the people in any capacity that deal with the inner workings of our city government. Dear Lord, I ask these things in your great name. Amen.
Amen. Stand for pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, one of the first things on our meeting is item number 4, approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on January the 21st, 2025, and our workshop meeting on January the 23rd, 2025. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those minutes? If so, the mayor will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve the regular workshop meetings from January 21st, 2025, and the workshop minutes from January 23rd, 2025.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson has made a motion to approve the regular meeting on minutes on January 21st and the workshop minutes on January 23rd, both 2025. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Brandy Peterson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, new business. The first item on the agenda is the Volusia County Sheriff's Office to do an end of the year crime report presentation. And Lieutenant Huffman, I believe, is going to do that for us. And he's going to roll the screen down, so we probably want to go down and sit in the audience so we can watch it. And after that, we'll come back up to stage. Yeah. And if you want to bring this with you, this packet, you can follow along if anybody wants to bring that with them. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. While this is loading up, I'll just briefly introduce myself. My name is Adam Hoffman. I am the Lieutenant Assistant Commander here at District 2, which is responsible for Northwest Volusia as well as the town of Pierson. With me in the back is our community officer for the district, Captain Jordan Max, and one of our what we call our Yankee units. One of the deputies that's assigned full-time here at Pierson, and for the large this year represent as well. So this PowerPoint load up. So what we're here to cover tonight is just a statistical kind of year review of our efforts up here at Pierson as an agency. I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone has, especially members of the council, but whatever our assistants like to run their fair enough to step on their toes. But I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has along the way. I'm trying to speak to fast for you guys, but we'll try to get through this so we're not eating up the whole meeting. So with that, we'll move into our presentation. So in 2024, the Volusia Sheriff's Office provided a service contracted by the town of Pierson for full service law enforcement here in the town. Couple of events of note we'll cover on July 4th for the 4th of July Independence Day celebration. We provided security here at the town's events there. There's some notes in the presentation, but I'll mainly highlight the fact that at Chipper Jones Park, we took some measures to make things orderly and ended up being a very good celebration with no incidents, no injuries, and everything flowed well with traffic and security there at the park. So picture some of the deputies that were there for that special detail. Moving on to, we took part in August of last year of the backpack giveaway conducted here. It was a pretty, we had a good turnout, got a lot of school supplies to families in the community, and it was a good opportunity for the deputies present to have some community relations and show the non-enforcement side of what the sheriff's office brings to the table, and obviously help a good cause in the community. Moving on to November of 2024, we had the Taylor High School homecoming parade. Sheriff Chitwood himself did show up and rode his bike with the parade through the streets of the town. As you see from some of the photos, another good positive community engagement opportunity, and a good safe parade with no incidents and a lot of smiling faces and positivity there. One other accomplishment we did achieve here in 2024. In June, we went ahead and installed our substation here at the town building. It's been very helpful to keep our units that are assigned full-time up here at Pierson in Pierson. As you know, our administrative offices and our District 2 office are both down in Land Proper, which is a bit of a drive down 17. So with this fully functional substation here, a lot of the technological things like body camera docking and some terminals you see pictured here that allow for report writing to be accomplished in a safe, secure environment. We're able to do that right here at the town of Pierson to keep our units up here in Milwaukee. This substation also serves an added benefit if unfortunately we did have any crime trends, especially involving the agricultural community, we could have a detective dispatched up here to set up a temporary office to where they can be present for individuals bringing statements and bringing in information to them without having to travel all the way down to where the land offices. So that's the aim of that facility, and as you can see, we're very thankful for the town for the space, and it's certainly ample for what we need to accomplish. So we'll move into some significant events of note. These are some cases that were cleared here this year, in the past year. First one we'll briefly talk about was a destruction, vandalism call here for service that actually involved one of our cars that we keep parts up here. So through our investigative means, we did determine that someone walked through a neighboring business and decided to kick and beat on our armored patrol car. But our investigation led to an arrest, and that individual was charged with the felony damages to our vehicle. Next thing we'll cover is an aggravated assault that occurred on Shaw Lake Road. This case involved an unfortunate shooting into a dwelling. Fortunately, no one was shot during this incident, but our quick response, diligent investigation led to us locating the suspect vehicle. That vehicle was subsequently stopped, and 4 arrests were made in connection with that shooting. They were all charged with the felony crimes involving that shooting. The next case we'll talk about was a stolen ATV. This case sort of highlights our technological abilities. Not to get into trade secrets, but we did use technology we have installed in the area to locate an ATV stolen on the back of the trailer. We used our partnerships with the county sheriff's office across the way there, and we're able to recover that ATV and charge someone with the felony theft. So we were able to close that case by arrest relatively quickly after the incident. One of the cases we'll cover is an aggravated assault that occurred in October. This was an unfortunate incident where someone at their property, minding their business, was approached by someone riding a bicycle. That individual had some unlogical issue with their dogs, and that turned into a physical disturbance where the homeowner was battered. That individual then fled. With our technology, we were able to contact an eyewitness, and we were able to make an arrest on that and clear that case by arrest. And the last case we'll talk about was a situation where we have to give a big kudos to our communication center and our professionals that work out there at our dispatch center. This was a case where a young lady was dealing with some unwanted advances by mail, and she was used her wit to call 911 and utilized, in fear of physical assault. She went ahead and pretended like she was ordering a pizza, but was able to between her and the communications communicator on the end of the phone, they were able to determine that she was, in fact, asking for law enforcement help. We were able to respond to emergency and locate her. At the time we located her, she was shaken, fortunately not harmed, but we were able to actually charge that individual with a 10% background. So, a successful case, and having a big shout out to our communications staff for being able to put that together. But as you can see, some successful cases, and as the statistics will highlight later in the presentation, we do put some emphasis on using investigative techniques to solve crimes. We try to throw every investigative effort we can at making an arrest on the case if possible. So moving to some statistics here, we'll let the numbers speak for some of our efforts. This is our total efforts, if you will, in the town. Our total calls for service overall in the 1 year period, in the calendar year 2024, totaled about 4,619 total calls for service. If you'll note, our number of traffic stops were 698, and the number of written citations and written warnings we categorize the same at 161 issued. I will speak to this statistic that the majority of these stops in our review were conducted on residents of the town. Obviously, we got people pass through on 17, but the majority of the stops were members of the town and citizens. And we do believe here in appropriate citation for enforcement for needed correction of behavior. However, I do think the number of stops there versus the number of sites to illustrate we are about building a positive community contact. We're about educating people. We're not about just hammering residents of the town with undue financial burden. If you have I hate to say routine, but if you have a minor traffic infraction. So I do think this highlights our discretion here in the town. With that being said, we'll kind of go into that breakdown of that number of 4,618. But here we talk about miscellaneous deputy activities. Most of these are self-initiated activities. You'll see this totals 3,818 activities. We log this all through our electronic computer-aided dispatch. So all of these things are the deputies taking proactive action of doing something. You'll notice the high amount of extra patrols and property checks. Those are usually conducted at nighttime, and those are looking for suspicious activities, trying to prevent theft, trying to prevent nefarious things from occurring in the nighttime. And you'll notice with the schools in the town, we have the 227 school zone, having that deputy present during often drop-off and pickup times to dissuade reckless driving in those areas. Moving on, we'll cover some other miscellaneous calls. These are some dispatch calls. You'll notice, alarm drops. We had 22 of those in the calendar year. The civil calls for service. Those can be anything from injunction service to, a dispute over property lines, and that's civil in nature, not criminal. You'll notice 17 reckless drivers were apprehended, and 57 follow-up investigations were also logged here, totaling 587 for some of these calls. There were another 106. I know that's kind of small print there on the left, so I'll try to break it down. But another kind of catch-all call for service breakdown. But things such as abandoned vehicles, transport for Baker Act. If a community caretaker authorizes Baker Act, we're required by statute to transport them to the nearest receiving facility. You'll see some parking complaints. You'll notice assisting fire rescue. If the fire department's got issues with someone, they call us, we respond to that. As well as the 16 animal complaints listed there at the top. So just some other things that we've responded to throughout the year. Briefly, we'll talk about narcotics activity here in the town that's logged. If you look at the top of the screen there, I'll call your attention to the breakdown from 2022 and 2023 into last calendar year 2024. You notice the top line there is, job number one at this agency is the preservation of life. And we take our OD investigations very seriously. The sheriff actually instituted an OD task force to prosecute those that can be convicted of selling the poison that does cause death in a drug overdose situation. With that being said, unfortunately, there was an increase from 2022 to 23 with deaths. However, in 2024, fortunately, there were no overdose deaths reported here in the town. The total OD number did increase from 4 to 11, but fortunately, none of those were fatal. And you'll notice that trend follows similarly with the deaths decreasing from 2023 to 24 in the countywide stats. You'll also notice down at the bottom there were three narcotic search warrants, which yielded 3 arrests here. And you'll notice some RAM seizures 23.7 total grams of heroin, 45.5 grams of methamphetamine, and a total narcotics fund seizure of, sorry for the blur there, but that's, I believe, $6,960. So some forfeiture seizures from the search warrants conducted by our narcotics unit here in the county. Moving on, we're going to briefly touch on some of how we categorize our crime statistics here in the county. We utilize something called the FBI's UCR, which is the Uniform Crime Report, and this breaks things down into Group A and Group B offenses. We do this to accountability purposes. We do this to track our clearance rates, and we do this to see exactly where we are falling short or where we are succeeding with our investigations and allocation of resources. Not to ramble on, but you see some of these are broad terms. They don't mirror Florida statutes because these are nationwide. These go all 50 states. So we try to categorize, and we also do this to keep ourselves up to industry standards nationwide. We want to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of these clearance rates. With that being said, our Group A offenses, this will come into play momentarily with the stats. I'm going to show you the numbers. Are usually our more serious offenses. You see homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, which is that includes a weapon. And there's a few other significant property crimes such as motor vehicle theft, burglaries and B&Es, and significant larcenies. They also fall into Group A offenses. We also have something called our Group B offenses, which do account for a high amount of our call volume, but it's usually slightly to the victim of a crime, and it's minor. Please don't take it that way. But things that would be categorized as these crimes don't carry as heavy as penalty, if you will. But these are our Group B offenses, things such as simple assaults, weapons, complaints, vandalisms, things along those lines. So with that, we'll move into our final portion of the presentation, the crime statistics. Reported crimes in the town this year, all of our persons crimes, which are generally type A offenses, Group A offenses, we had 41 total reported persons crimes, and we had 22 reported property crimes investigated. With that being said, we had a total of 35 adult arrests made on all these reported crimes, as well as a proactive activity, and we had 18 juvenile arrests on top of that, for a total of 53 arrests made in the town proper this year in 2024. And how that correlates to statistics, one that we are proud of, for all the persons crimes reported in the town of Pierson in 2024, we cleared 89.66% of those crimes. So nearly 90% of all the significant crimes to persons. That's a statistic that is better than our countywide clearance rate for persons crimes, and one that we will strive to continue to uphold. Moving into our property crimes, we solved 50%, a clean 50, 7 of 14 total property crimes that were reported here. And I'll towards the end of the presentation, I'll go ahead and cover this now. The national average for persons crimes clearance is just over 40%. The national average for all property crimes in total is usually right about 15%, sometimes as low as 13%. So, albeit only half the crime is solved, and I'll come out and say we'd like to do better. But compared to national averages, we are proud of that 50% clearance rate. We're thankful to the technological resources that we have and the relationships that we have in the community. We credit for those two solve rates. Old school police work still exists. Getting out, talking to people, pounding the pavement, having contacts with the community. I can't stress enough to you how much that means to us and how much that helps us. Technology's great, and we rely on it a lot. But having these relationships and having your trust in the community is absolutely paramount for us being able to identify those responsible for crime. So we do wish to continue that partnership. And just to finish up some other stats, we have a nearly 80% solve rate when we talk about these are some of our society crimes. You'll see these include all of our narcotics arrests, as well as such things such as weapon violations and some animal complaints can fall into here too. But nearly an 80% solve rate on that, which is a testament to the hard work of the guys and gals that we have working here. And with that, I'll share a couple final slides. This is a fact sheet that we just put out for the entire agency. So this covers the entire Volusia Sheriff's Office. As you know, the population of the county is well over 500,000 at this point. We don't provide primary law enforcement service to that number of people, but with contract cities like Altona and some of the other major areas we control, we definitely hundreds of thousands of people we provide service to. But you'll see some of the numbers here: 282,000, almost 300,000 calls for service. total for the year. You'll see the number of 911 calls and the number of non-emergency calls that we have are significant throughout the calendar year. And just with that being said, to some of the comparative numbers of that 282,000, to recall, Pierson did account for 4,619 of those calls. You'll notice of the 37,000 traffic stops we conduct annually, you guys are about 700 of that, 698. And the total rest there, the 9,321, you guys account for 50. So you are a portion, an important portion of the overall stats. But with that being said, when a crime trend does occur, and when a violent crime does occur up here, the same amount of resources, the same team that is built to handle that amount of calls every year, you guys have access to all those resources. We will throw the full weight of the sheriff's office behind something if it's required, no matter where it occurs in our county. So, something I do like to cover. And lastly, I'll kind of read this pitch, this last slide for you guys, but in conclusion, the Volusia Sheriff's Office is committed to working hard on every case with diligence and persistence. This is just another example of why our overall clearance rate continues to increase after crimes are committed here in Volusia County and why they are successfully solved. These accomplishments are achieved by keeping the heat up on known criminals and identifying crime trends early and with a sense of urgency. I will speak to that point. We try to have rapid allocation of resources and treat every case like it's a priority. That's how we keep ourselves accountable. And I will state for anyone that's attended one of the sheriff's public comm staff meetings, the sheriff himself holds every district captain, every detective accountable for their cases assigned. He's in tune on a weekly basis with just about every single property crime of note that goes on in the county. Most agencies our size don't have that type of accountability, don't hold that standard. With that being said, our deputies and detectives, who I give full faith and credit to the solve rates we have, are dedicated and determined to continue their efforts to reduce crime in the town of Pierson, as well as our entire county. And with that being said, I thank everyone for their time, and I will definitely take any questions that anyone has in reference to the stats or any other topics that we cover today.
Anybody have any questions now? Time to ask.
Daryl, towards the end of the presentation.
Yes, sir.
When you had the county stats up there.
Yes, sir.
I can see the fentanyl seizures from countywide. And when you showed Pierson, I couldn't quite see it well enough.
See where those paper copies
Here in Pierson.
I will let you know.
That seems to be the.
Yes, sir. We're also seeing on their product side, we're seeing fentanyl mixed with a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it's used unfortunately used as a cutting agent with both meth and cocaine. So we're seeing mixed. They don't have it listed for 2024 here. I will show you that in 2022 they have it listed at 132.3 grams. I'm certain that that's not a zero. I'll just have to. I can give it on the side.
Just curious.
That's the one box there that they let them play, and I'm wondering why. I'll take accountability for that. I'm sure they're in there, but I'll issue that information.
So they know what a problem it is.
Yes, sir. It is unfortunately our biggest, and that's why the task force exists.
Thank you for your presentation.
Good job. Thank you very much,
I
guys.
appreciate you folks.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Appreciate you, brother.
Information about an hour ago.
Yeah, my day right there, and killing me too on the inside of my knee.
I got to call my one. Have I read it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Item number 5B, we are looking for the Northwest Volusia Little League for some field updates and opening day ceremony information. How are you ladies? Lindsay, Katie, and
Kelsey.
Kelsey, okay?
Yes.
You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. So we have proposed a March 8th opening ceremony at Northwest Volusia Little League for us. Our start time would like to be 10 a.m. and we are liking to make it bigger and better than it's ever been.
What was that, 10 a.m.?
10 a.m. This would include games. We have 8 teams, 2 in each division, so we would like each division to have a game. The only difference would be softball because we have a minor and a majors team, so our majors team would play. We would like to have games, carnival games, food trucks, vendors, all in hopes to bring in money for the league.
Not excessive, just, a few to kind of, just because we're gonna have our entire, 90 kids plus all their, families and stuff.
What type of food trucks are you thinking about? Just like hamburgers, hot dogs,
Yeah,
ice cream, that kind of
yeah,
stuff?
maybe like
Jeremiah had said they would come out, which they would donate a portion of our proceeds that we got from that. So that's one of our dessert options.
Mhm.
And then just like lunch, maybe another dessert option. We haven't fully went into that because we wanted to have approval before we started diving in too deep on that. We also have somebody that's coming out to sing the national anthem for us. We have somebody that's going to do a prayer. We're just trying to make it a little bit bigger than what it has before. In years past, it's been like 30, 40 minutes. You're in, you're out, and you're gone, and that's it. So we're trying to
turn it into like an all day, and then also encourage more community involvement, and then parents and grandparents and people can come and because like I said, we'll have our games playing all day starting at like around 11 till probably 3 or 4.
Our t-ball team will
So
end.
we'll have like some a game going throughout the day for the different divisions, and just kind of really encourage people to come out. And
some of the vendors would be like t-shirt sales. We have most of the people we've talked to so far are local or a part of our league. So it's giving them money and getting us money.
Did I hear you say our league has 8 teams?
Yes. So 2 in each division. We have 2 t-ball, 2 machine pitch, 2 minors,
2 runner baseball,
and then a major and a minor softball.
Good deal.
So
There's a lot of kids out there playing.
it is. We are busy Monday through Friday right now with practices. There's teams there every single night and on all fields.
Mr. Mayor, we would like to ask if you would like to throw the first pitch for us on opening day.
I'll attempt it.
Vice Mayor, if he needs assistance.
I think I can throw it from the home plate to the catcher, maybe.
We also have.
It may not be a strike, but he'll be able to catch it.
That's okay. That's all that matters. The Saddle Club did offer us the enclosed area to put up our games so that we don't have the kids running around with all the
yeah, like
cars.
if we did like smaller carnival games, like not like in the arena part, but the fenced out part that's kind of outside of the concession area. Because we did it the weekend after, but there's not Saddle Club. So they said we could kind of set up things in there to kind of help keep things, keep kids in there. We were going to, have a certain area for the food trucks and then we would like to be able to, just close that main gate off of Washington and have everybody come in off of 17, weather permitting, and there's not, it's not rain and the field gets really wet, then we'll have to kind of adjust that. But just because there's going to be games on both fields, and we're going to have like a home run derby on one of the fields, and so we want to try to keep all of our traffic to the north of the park. So
you want to keep the traffic in the big open area.
Yeah.
You're going to have somebody to help you do the parking.
Yes, we're going to have, because all of our teams will be there for pretty much the whole day, so.
All hands on deck. Everybody's required to volunteer at some point.
Good deal.
As far as I think that we ought to put our full support behind that. I mean, we might not all make it there, but we'll have our support, and I'll be there through that pitch, unless something really unforeseen happens.
So, would you mind if we put up a banner to advertise it, kind of like how we put up, like the Lions Club puts the rodeo banner, like if we order a banner that said, Northwest Volusia opening day, like could we put that somewhere that was like on 17 where you can see it, not just like at the ball fields?
Kind of where they normally put the radio thing. Personally, I don't have an issue with that at all.
I think we discovered that's private property.
I think we have discovered that's private property, so you
We
probably
did,
need
so-
to talk to the property.
Bidders.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Bidders.
I think he'll give you
The
Yeah.
one,
I think he'll let you do
I
that.
think one of the posts is probably on the right of way,
Right.
Yeah.
but the other post
Is
is on
on his
Mr.
property.
Biddle's property. So you can, we might be able to give you a number that you can call and talk to them.
Okay.
But yeah, but I don't have a problem with the banner being there, but we just need to make sure Mr. Biddle doesn't have a problem with it. And if he does, maybe we can find another location somehow. Anybody have any other thoughts or questions? And looking forward to that opening day on the 8th.
We're
And the
excited.
festivities start at 10 o'clock, right?
Yep, that will be the opening part, so where all the teams come out and then
Yeah.
games and stuff will start.
Are you still working on your schedules and all that stuff?
They just kind of got finalized this week, so we do have that pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got to get them on
calendar.
It is a lot of games. It's
Yeah.
75 home games, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Between Monday through Saturday.
While we're talking about the opening ceremony, I want to bring up a subject about dragging those fields with the machine. Tim Bailey contacted me about he's a Parks and Recreation person, and I don't know if they're going to have the personnel to drag the fields, but he did say he's checking into giving the machine to us, and maybe you guys could use that machine to help, to drag the field. So if we can make the machine available to you guys, hopefully you can help us out with that.
So with the,
And you may have other information on that than I do.
no, I actually have not talked to anybody from the county recently. And so that was part of, one thing we wanted to, talk tonight as well, because we were thinking, because I know that also, the chalk and the paint to line the fields, it's gonna cost, I looked it up, kind of looked up some numbers, and it takes about $12 a field as of right now to line the field. And that's kind of, erring on the higher side so that we don't undercut ourselves. But $12 a game is about $900 for the spring season, just in materials to buy the paint and the chalk. And we have the equipment to be able to do that in the shed. We do have two of the paint push things and the equipment for the chalk. We do need to purchase a template for the batter's box area.
I thought you had one there.
The template broke.
Okay. Well.
So, but we were thinking that I know that manpower for you guys and manpower for us is both a big problem. So I don't know if, it'd be beneficial, like if the league could help, if we could cover the cost of buying all the materials, and then if we need to be able to line them. But I don't know, I just don't know if we have the manpower at all to be able to drag and line them for, during our prime season when games actually start, which is like the week of the 20th of February.
Well, so we'll actually start games before opening ceremony,
And a
so
couple
delayed,
games.
but.
Well, I'm gonna hope that you guys can take care of the dragging the fields and linemen, or putting the baselines and stuff in, because Pierson is a non-pay for play.
Yeah.
And, I don't wanna have to charge Little League to play personally, but if you guys can't do it, we're gonna have to come up with somebody that we're gonna have to pay to do it. And if we have to pay somebody to do it, then the days of playing for free, I think are gonna be over with, because we got generating income like any other city to pay for that. That's just my thought. And
So, that's why I didn't know, like, if us, helping to cover the cost of the materials would help at all, or, giving some kind of, lump sum towards.
Our problem is the time with our guys. Our guys are doing all the mowing over there currently.
Yeah.
And Tim Bailey told me that Northwest Volusia Little League was doing the mowing, and I said, no, Northwest Volusia League has never done the mowing. The county of Pierson does all the mowing.
Yeah.
So we're doing all the mowing, and we're furnishing the fields, we're paying the light bills. And I just think that you guys need to step up and drag the fields and put the baselines down. That's just my view. I don't know how the rest of the council.
And with
views.
90 kids, surely there's parents, family members, something.
You would think.
You would think so.
You would think.
There's always 10, and the rest
Right.
just show up.
And that's how it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
That's always wet
It's
when
always
we've been
Correct.
involved with the girls softball. I mean, you got all these kids and 4 or 5 parents.
So another factor into this is, we did just get basically $60,000 worth of brand new concrete poles that are being delivered to put on field 1 to get rid of the hazardous poles that are going to fall down eventually. They've been needed to be replaced for years. We know they've already replaced one of them. The other ones are absolutely horrible. So with due diligence, lots of footwork, lots of a couple different people working through that, we were able to get those being brought there, delivered, and probably removed and installed for little to no cost. Well, I know the poles are not costing anything, but as far as like having, we have the labor for, we have to have a crane to pull this and that, and then the bucket trucks to take the lights down. We also have a grandparent that actually he works for a lighting company that does for baseball fields. He is working on to see, the quote for those 5 poles is $18,000 to put new lights on those 5 poles. He is working on to see if his company will do maybe a 50% donation, and then he would cover the other out of his own pocket. But it would come at a contingency of, he doesn't want to donate it and then us end up having to pay to play the fields after he just paid $9,000 for us to have lights on new poles that we also got donated. So, I just feel like that's a big financial gain too that, needed to be done, but we took it upon ourselves to make it happen where it didn't cause it, where we could not use the fields because it wasn't safe. And then because the poles were not going to be safe enough for people to be around them. So then the field had to be shut down, and then we're down a field, and that would have been, it just. So we're trying, we're not just asking for handouts by any means. We're trying to improve fields that, like you said, at the end of the day, we don't even have any kind of ownership of or anything, but we're here to try to make things better to where we can continue to use them and be the quality that, they need to play safety-wise as well, so.
I
we'll
applaud
have to.
everything you're doing fantastic. And it looks like the sod is doing pretty good.
Yeah, the sod's doing well. And then Stacy Jones also seeded and fertilized the outfields.
Right.
And we also fertilized and seeded on top of the sod in the infield. So
I talked to Stacy. I believe it was the day he was up there doing that. So yeah, that's wonderful.
We also have a company coming out to pressure wash again, so they will be out any week for pressure wash, and they're going to also pressure wash the backfields because we will need to utilize those, and the bleachers are black.
Yeah.
So he'll be taking care of that.
So it's a parent that owns a company, and I think this is the 3rd year. He brings his whole crew up and cleans, all the bleachers, the dugouts, all the concrete around the concession stand on all 3 fields, and he's going to include the backfields this time.
Well, that's good that you have some parents that are involved and are willing to do that.
It's up because it used to take a couple of Saturdays of people with pressure washers, and it was a lot of work for the few people that show up. So we're very thankful that he does that. So.
Lindsay, with that many teams, I would imagine that y'all will be playing on at least 3 fields every day, Monday through Saturday.
Yes. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, the first 2 fields will have games, and then softball will be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
We're still adding games. It's not all teams are finalized with their schedules, so there's potential for more games to be at home.
So, obviously, we have to do what we have to do, but hopefully we can, and we're going to try, maybe we'll, have to do some more fundraising, or maybe we have to, up our dues somewhat, or some of our sponsorship things with either teams or like our banner sponsors or some things, and maybe try to find somebody that we can get to commit to doing it and, pay them a little bit of whatever that we can do.
Do you know if the key is, in that machine, Lewis?
They don't take it out.
Okay, so,
When they used to.
but I was assured by Mr. Bailey when I met with him last week that we were gonna be able to use that machine and basically almost take
it
ownership
over.
of it.
Yeah,
Take it over. The one for
And
driving.
then they keep it there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's over there by the barn, by the.
If you would, maybe get with Yvonne or Ryan and set up a time you can meet with Lewis, he can show you where it's at. We can make sure you can get access to it. So, you can use it when you need it.
I'm gonna just make a suggestion. There's a lot of seniors and high school kids that need some volunteer hours. It's a great opportunity for them to line some fields or some sign-offs on some volunteer hours.
Yeah.
A whole bunch just got in trouble, so they're gonna need some volunteer hours. I've been a parent of one of them kids before, so give them, reach out to the school. We do that for the 4th of July. We don't get a lot of kickback from it, but you never know. There may be some out there that.
Yeah, we've had a few that have volunteered that did that to help with our concession stand. That
Yeah.
helps a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A few boys for umpiring.
Yeah, we have a few umpires, a few boys that are gonna do umpire clinic with Mr. Buttons and help him out, because we have a lot of home games, and if we ask David to umpire 4 days a week, I think he'll go into early retirement, so.
Yeah.
We have to start training some new
younger
ones,
ones.
but we actually, I think, have like 5, so.
Well, good.
Lindsay, what kind of material is the batter's box?
The one we had was just made out of pipe, and I don't know if someone just homemade it. I mean, it was.
Was it made out of
It was
PVC
made out
pipe?
of PVC pipe, yeah,
I thought that's what it was.
yeah, so, but it's been, I don't know how long ago it broke, because it hasn't been in the shed for a long time. So, yeah, I think that, I'm sure somebody just, it was like a homemade template.
Mm-hmm. Did it work well?
I mean, it was kind of before I was into this role, so.
Mm-hmm.
I would have said PVC pipe because of the machine with the little chalk thing that it kind of, if you have something flat, it's not going to catch it.
Right.
Lewis has questions.
The county has one made out of aluminum that we used a few years ago.
Where's it located? We have it?
In that shed over there by that machine.
Oh, it's by the machine.
It's inside that shed. Just had to get the key. And now I got the key to get into the fence, but I don't have the key to get into the barn.
Yeah, so they probably had something they used, unless they just eyeballed it, but it was usually pretty
We
good.
had to do it there, but we didn't have aluminum. They just hang it on the wall.
Can you or Yvonne try to get a hold of Mrs. Bailey and see if we can get a key to that shed, Ryan? Well, they may have one stashed over there or something.
And if the county guy comes out, see if I can get one.
If he comes up.
He was here today.
Oh, he was.
Today, the fields are drug, they look really good.
So if he comes up too, you can ask him about the key and maybe get a copy of it.
I don't think he comes back now. Thursday?
Thursday or Friday, it's only twice a week.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, maybe we can contact Mr. Bailey. I think it's Tim Bill.
So how long is that guy going to be coming? Like, when do we have to start planning on having to do this? Like, I mean, how long are they gonna keep coming to track the field?
I can't give you a definite answer on that.
Yeah.
Because basically what I was told by Mr. Bailey is that they're not gonna be doing it anymore. So if he's still doing it, I really don't wanna rock the boat.
Don't ruffle the
Yeah.
water.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, I mean,
He
it could
said
stop,
he has 75 games. He's gonna say something. He's
It
not
could-
gonna want to line it that much.
it could stop tomorrow or it continue for a period of time that I don't know, to be honest with you. I just know that, Volusia County wanted $44,000 to take care of the 3 or 4 baseball fields. And we just don't have that kind of money.
That's understandable.
If I had that kind of money, we could hire another full-time employee and he could do other things after the baseball season.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
I think that's it for now. So, yeah.
Well, I'll be there on the 8th. I made a note of it here. Look forward to it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. All right, moving right along, 5C, wastewater treatment plant scope of work change, and I'm going to turn that to Mark Brett, our town planner.
Good evening. If you recall, Brad Blaze was here on the 14th. He gave a presentation on the current status of the wastewater design, and he talked about a change in scope as a result of the discussions with the school board in looking at the plan. And he indicated that at your next meeting, there would be some paperwork to follow up on that, and I told him, and I said, well, he doesn't realize that the next meeting was the week after, so it would be one more meeting, and so that's what this is in front of you. So you have a memorandum from him. I'm going to read you the memorandum, but basically it's a refresher on Brad Blaze's presentation where he talked about dividing dividing into Part A and Part B. Part A being the completion of the collection system design, and Part B being a design build on the wastewater treatment plant. In order to affect those changes associated with the wastewater plant, there needs to be some increased surveying costs. So that's what's in front of you. This is a change to the Mead Hunt contract for those increased survey costs. It's actually a subcontractor of Mead Hunt. This does not increase the overall loan amount that was projected. It does move money from contingency that was within the loan line into their contract. So it'll go. Be happy to answer any questions.
How much is it increasing the original cost?
It's increasing their contract by $17,000.
Okay, that's the increased amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that amount was built into the.
It's coming out of contingency. So there's a projected loan amount and there's a contract. Right. So yes, the contract is going up, but in terms of what we discussed, the amount that we borrowed, this does not increase that.
So tonight, do we need to take official action on that as a council to go ahead and
Take
approve that?
official action to authorize you to sign.
To do what?
Authorize you to sign.
Okay, and I'll see what I can do. Well, the mayor would entertain a motion to proceed with this. As recommended by Mead Hunt and our town planner.
No choice. So moved.
Motion is made by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson to proceed with the change as outlined by Mead Hunt here, and the cost of $17,282.38. We reallocated from phase 12 contingency to phase 8 survey sub-consultant. Is that right, Mark?
Correct.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Councilwoman Richardson to approve this, seconded by Vice Mayor Robert F. Green. Ryan, would you do a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, Councilwoman Brandy Peterson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson,
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland,
Yes.
and Mayor Grayling.
Yes. Let the record show it's a roll call vote and it passed, 5-0. I will take care of this tonight before we leave. Okay, item number 5D. I have on here vacating Lee Street north of Washington Avenue to Myrtle Street. I was approached by a citizen wanting us to clear the roadway, a 50-foot right-of-way along the west side of the Methodist Cemetery. And I'm not real sure that's even an extension of Lee Street. It's shown on there's a little thing on the map there, but there's no name of that. And basically, I believe that is the responsibility of the Methodist Cemetery if they want to widen that up. I mean, I believe it's cemetery property. I don't think that's not a maintained street. I don't think it's ever been a maintained street. And my personal belief on that is that it should be up to the Methodist Cemetery or the Methodist Church if they want to clean the limbs up along the edge of that driveway they have there, and not the town.
I agree. I came and looked at the map today. I did not, that's not part of Lee Street.
Lee Street basically ends right there at the corner where, is it Block Street maybe that
Yeah,
runs?
and then it just runs a little bit to Pine.
Yeah. It's just, it's almost like one block is all Lee Street encompasses according to the map that I looked at.
So has our attorney been kept abreast of this? Are you aware?
No, this is a brand new thing, but I don't even think Lee Street, Lee Street's only that one block according to our maps. There's nothing indicating that Lee Street continues all the way through to Washington Avenue and then all the way through to Myrtle Street. There's a driveway that goes along the west side of the cemetery, but it's a driveway that's been there my entire life that I can remember, and it's never been a street.
Randy, was it on the plat map in the conference room? So it's platted, we just never, it's kind of like Fifth Avenue.
Well, it doesn't even have a name. It's just,
Yeah,
And it is
not
a private road?
It's a marked road on
It's
there.
marked,
It's
but
not
I
a
don't-
name.
it's marked on there, but it's no name on it or anything else. And it's actually not in line with Lee Street if you look at it on the map. It's offset, not a lot, but it's offset, 50 or 100 feet maybe.
So why do we call it Lee Street? I mean, if it's,
I'm not calling it Lee Street. The gentleman that wanted us to clear the right of way, Mr. Pulley, is here tonight. He called it Lee Street.
I'm just wondering if at some point, somewhere years ago, it was on a map as Lee Street.
On my map, it says Lee Street. I don't know if it does on yours or not.
I don't know what map you have, but I know on our map, it shows all of our properties and everything, all of our zoning and everything else. It does not say that it's Lee Street. It's just indicating basically there's a drive there.
And that is pulled from the county GIS, which is pulled from the property. That map that you're referring
I mean, it shows that there's a driveway there, which there is a driveway there, and there's been a driveway there my entire life. And it's always been maintained by the Methodist Cemetery. It's not a maintained street.
How far does the Methodist church own?
That whole block, Lesser Foley, Precinct 3,
No, I'm talking about to the west, Lester.
all the way to Myrtle Street. That whole
They
block.
own north all the way to Myrtle
That's
Street,
north.
and they own west, and it butts up with Carol Dunn's property. Okay. On the west side.
That's my concern.
Is it Carroll or?
You know, one side, the church owns one side, but the other side is private. There's a residence there, and then there's a infirmary there too. We start clearing the road, maybe on somebody else's property.
Well, that's
Up to you to.
up to the Methodist Church to know where your property line's at. It's not up to the city to know where your survey property line is.
But the road's not on the cemetery. That's not part of the cemetery.
Then all I know is that driveway's been there for eons. It's a little pit dirt driveway that goes alongside the cemetery. And typically over the years, I've seen them. I've seen the people that was retained by the church that have occasionally trimmed those limbs back.
We trim it, but it's
I know that you asked to clear out the 50-foot right of way.
Yeah.
Well, there's some signs there that are in the ground on metal posts that say Methodist Cemetery on them. And if we cleared 50 feet, we'd be on the other side of those signs. I'm not gonna do that because I don't know where your property line is and it's not a maintained street. That's my contention.
Art, how can we find out?
You know, obviously we could do some research to find it. I'm looking at the county now and it's not on GIS north of Washington. So I mean, I can look to see if there's a whole plat. The issue though is that, I mean, even if it is yours, you don't have any obligation to maintain and open. You have all sorts of roads that are dedicated to you.
Yeah.
That you do not open or maintain, and you're not required to do so. It's a policy decision as to whether it makes, sense for you guys to open and maintain anyway.
I relayed that to Mr. Pulley, that there's platted roads all over Pierson and all over Volusia County, and that's all they are.
Yeah.
If that place was ever developed, there probably might be a street there. But it's nothing we maintain, we've never maintained.
Well, I'm satisfied with that answer, but as far as the church going in there and clearing that road, I'm not comfortable with that.
I'm not comfortable with the city plan. If that driveway on the backside of that cemetery belongs to anybody, it probably belongs to the Methodist Church. Because those signs that say Methodist Cemetery or Methodist Church, whatever they are, they're metal signs that are on metal poles on the west side of that driveway going into that church, into that
We
cemetery.
put those there, so wouldn't go with that.
Lester, it sounds to me like though, I would think that the Methodist Church has a survey of that, don't they?
I wouldn't know.
Well, that's what the question is here, right, Mark? The
Question of ownership.
right. The question of ownership is a survey would show. And I mean.
Well, that's never been a maintained street, and there's two pieces of property basically on the west side of that airport. And it's the eastern side of Carol Dunn's yard and the west side of the cemetery. There's a property line there to separate those two properties. Without a survey, I don't know where those property lines are. But that road, that street is pretty much a private street that goes on the back side of the cemetery. I mean, like I said, sometimes you need to be careful what you wish for. If we open that up as a public street, you're gonna have a lot more problems going on in there then than you are having now with people going in and out of it. And I don't think it, my personal opinion on it, I don't think it's a public street. I'd leave that as my town plan.
Without researching it.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't either, but it's never been a maintained street in my lifetime.
There's only a couple of ways the city gets right of ways. We don't own any land because you're a city. It's got to be platted, a plat that dedicates it to the public, or you could acquire it through use, which is called prescription. You start using it over time, and you maintain it. But so there's got to be some documentation that says this is how this was created. If there's nothing in the public record that created it, that's how it comes to us. We didn't maintain it. If we didn't pave, or it's obviously improved somewhat. If we're not the ones who improved it and maintained it, it's found, and there's no plat dedicating that to us, then it's not public. There's only a couple of ways that we get land. Dedication is one of them. So
There's a bunch of private roads.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of.
People usually what happens, there's only one or two landowners that are actually willing to maintain them, right? Everybody else just uses it. It's like the ball fields, right?
Yeah.
Usually one landowner cares enough to go out and, scrape the road, and everybody else who lives there uses it anyway.
That's more or less a private drive.
Right.
It's a real home.
Well, it goes along the west side of the Methodist Cemetery, and it's that's what it looks like to me. It's a private driveway going in the cemetery.
There's probably an original plat somewhere, on public records when this town was created. And then you just kind of go forward from there to see what, anybody else file amended plats or replats of the area. Was this ever a dedicated roadway? And then you got the question of sometimes, how was it dedicated? Did the city town accept it? And things like that. You just got to look at all those questions. But I don't think we have the information.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to act on this tonight.
And I understand when you vacate something too, just what happens is if we truly had a right of way there, we decide to vacate it, we can't direct where ownership goes. It goes to the property owner whose predecessor, prior owner, gave up land to create it. Typically, it gets split in the middle and goes half to each property owner on either side. Because usually the road goes down the middle of someone's property, they created it, and then when you vacate it, it just goes to the adjoining property owner. So if it was to be vacated, we can't direct where it goes, and it may not go all to one side or the other. It may end up being just adjusting the property lines between the two.
Split between the two.
Yeah.
So for now, I don't think the city's obligated to clear that right away. I mean, it's not a city street.
Yeah, I won't even call it right away.
Whatever it is. It's a driveway going down the west
So
side.
are we gonna have Mark look into that to make sure for us?
I think that Mark does need to look into that to make sure it's not it is or it's not.
Right, and then you'll still have to make a decision as to whether you want to do it.
Because it's never been a maintained street by the city, regardless, in my lifetime.
But like Mark said, there's platted roads all over Pierson, all over.
That's what I told Mr. Pulley, that there's platted roads all over the map.
All
That don't
over.
necessarily mean they're a public street or
Right.
maintained.
That's not unique to town of Pierson.
Right.
Every city has
Every
that.
city has it. Right.
So are you gonna
Go way back.
check on that for us, Mark? Yeah. Okay. All right. Any more discussion on this? Moving on, 5E, I have a quote from CTS Paving to repair the asphalt over on it's on Blake Street, just off the edge of Washington Avenue. There's a large piece of asphalt missing there. And I think you have a price from Ronnie Council for that, and we probably need to put this out to a couple other bids because it's pretty pricey. But the main thing is I guess, are all of you guys aware of this issue here on Blake Street where the asphalt's missing?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So.
I guess my question is, why can't we just get a load of asphalt and the boys pack it in this hole?
That may work. I was just
But if
concerned
it's like
about-
$175 a load or something when we got it the last time versus $3,000.
No, that's a lot of money. That's the reason I brought it, because I thought it was a lot of money.
And it's not like it's real deep yet. You know what I mean? It looks salvageable to me.
I think what they've done in the past, haven't y'all cut that out? Where it does.
Someone has, or we have.
But I mean, y'all patched the road down on paper.
Yes, we cut it out
And so we could kind of do the same thing there.
We just bought a concrete saw.
You just what?
I said we just bought a concrete saw about 9 months ago.
I was just fixing to say, I know why that road's tore up right
I
there.
know why it's tore up there too, because there's there's semis that go in and out of there.
There's
Every
like 4 or
week.
5 truck lines right there.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 truck lines that load runs back there. And that's where they go into it.
So I think the first thing would be is to, do whatever we need to do to make them use, Pine Street to access the packing house they're going to, and not turn in there.
And they're gonna tear up Pine Street.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well,
Hey, don't do that.
Okay.
Let them keep going there. Yeah,
So we want
Yeah,
to just
these-
try to
our-
get some
our
asphalt
roads-
and put it in there.
our roads are not built. for
They were
all-
never
For all
designed.
these semis.
They were
driving
never
up and down.
designed to carry that kind of weight.
And they have been for years though. I mean, you know,
Right.
semis have been semis coming here loading for a long time. But that's what's tore that road up.
So my question is this, do we want to go ahead and, order some asphalt and have our guys patch that?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
There's one right here on Washington too, in front of the school that needs a little patch job.
Well, Washington Avenue's got a lot of spots on it where if you get off the edge of that road, you're in
This one's
trouble.
like right in front of the school. It's a whole big chunk out of it right there, just needs some asphalt stuck in it. We got a truckload and we have extra right there.
Well, we can order enough to take care of both of those places.
It's gotta be, we can't order 2 months at one time, and you gotta remember, we're putting this out ourselves.
Okay,
So that stuff hardens up quite a bit, so.
Yeah.
We usually
Maybe
do like
2
a yard
different
at-
trips.
About a yard at a time,
Mm-hmm.
so we don't waste a bunch of money on asphalt at that part, so.
well, a yard should take care of that spot, shouldn't it? If there's any extra, we can put it in the other spot.
Yeah, I think we should repair that in-house.
Okay, so we can, who'd we get our asphalt from last time, PNS? So,
It's got to call one day before and normally do it the next day or else
you think we need to wait till the weather warms up before we do that, or do it now?
I would.
Hell, it's supposed to be
It's gonna be in the 80s all week.
87 all
Well,
week
let's try to get it done.
with low rain chance.
Yeah, it's gonna be 80s, in the 80s all the rest of the week and, yeah, with little rain.
I got you some
Yeah. What's that, Lewis? Yeah.
Crap is growing like crazy. I know I can't do smart, but I got.
Yep.
We can probably schedule it for later in the week, or the first part of next week.
Well, are you the only one that can get it, or it takes all 3 of y'all to put them in? I'm just trying to understand.
What, asphalt?
Yeah, to get it and put it in, it takes.
It takes, usually me and Chris sit there, and a whole little bit, and prepare the old asphalt and everything. I did that myself down there on, Turner. That damn crap blew me out by myself. I mean, you're doing.
I was just gonna say, is it something Chris and Dustin can do if you are mowing baseball field?
Well, like I said, Chris be there freaking cutting that whole lot by himself. It's something you do all
Right, yeah. Yeah.
You have to dig it down anyway, and level it up a little bit where you can actually pack it down.
Well, we don't have to do it this week, but I think we need to do it in-house.
Okay, I agree, I agree.
So that's, you
I
know,
agree.
Weather's good Thursday, we can do it Thursday.
when it-
Half a day to a whole day, depends on what I got. I'm out back.
we'll play it by ear. We'll see how tomorrow goes and then look and see what we have to do.
Whenever you feel like you guys can get it done, y'all can order the asphalt. Okay, well, if you want to try to plan on doing it on Thursday, I think that'd be fine, do it in-house. Okay. Any more discussion on patching Blake Street? All righty, 5F is the September 24 invoice from Puff Electric, and that is, Yvonne, can you take care of that?
Yeah, I mean, she said we could table it, but I can go over it if you want me to. This is an invoice that, we got, Bobby brought it to me from Lamar Dixon. This was work that was done at the rodeo grounds back in September. And Yvonne just wanted to make sure she was okay to pay this because it's over, I mean, we didn't get it approved at council at the time and it didn't have our name on it. So she just wanted to make sure, you know, it was authorized before we wrote an $1,870 check.
That was repair work at the rodeo ground.
Yeah, it was LED bulbs, some outlets installed, disconnect boxes on light poles, replace 2 breakers, that kind of stuff. Some stuff in the concession stand. So, you know.
That's the invoice for 1,870.
Yeah.
So who approved it?
You're the mayor.
Yeah, I'm guessing probably Sammy before the rodeo, but, you know, I'm not gonna write a check if it doesn't have our name on it and we didn't bring it to council, so I'm just asking before I write one.
Well, this council, several years back, took over the rodeo grounds and it's our responsibility to pay that bill. But talking on the rodeo grounds, I'm about ready to give it back to them.
Well, not now, we just spend all the money to get it up to par.
Yeah. We're gonna keep on spending money up there too.
Every year we spend money up there. I think that's why we had the debate last year.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, I make a
We gotta-
motion that we pay the $1,870 to Huff Electric for work done at the rodeo grounds.
All right, there's been a motion
September.
on the floor by Vice Mayor Robert F. Freeman to pay this invoice dated on 9/18/2024 in the amount of $1,870 to Huff Electric for the work done on the rodeo grounds on that date. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Robert Freeman, seconded by Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Item number 5G is a quote from Huff Electric for electrical upgrades at the water tower. And that's Deputy Clerk Ryan Smith.
So you guys remember at the previous meeting, we talked about we approved some Verizon equipment for the security cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned that the ones at the water tower have never even been wired and that I was waiting on a quote from Fred. So Fred came out and he looked at it. This quote is to run power to that box, but also to replace there's an external box over there for a breaker because it's rusted and falling apart. And he said if he's gonna do any wiring out there, we should really replace that whole box. It's mounted to a pole outside. It's probably been there decades.
That's that new 100 amp disconnect, right?
Yeah, so he would be replacing that external box out there and then running a line, I don't know, 50, 60 feet to the site where the cameras are and wiring that for us. So that's what that is. And this is I'll just say the next 2 items are water related. So these come out of our water fund. So here in the next few weeks, we'll probably have a budget update meeting. These are not as critical as like general fund stuff. There's money to do, water repairs. So,
Right.
I don't feel as bad spending money out of the water fund as I do the general fund. So.
I'd entertain a motion to approve this work by Huff Electric at our water tower.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Robert F. Freeman to approve the amount of $1,260 to do the electrical work necessary on our water tower. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Item number 5H is a quote from CWS, our water company, to replace the pressure switches at our wells. And that's again Deputy Clerk Ryan Smith.
Yep, so back when the lightning hit a few weeks ago, the water tower was not full. CWS came out, they looked at it, they said one of the reasons it's not full is because the pressure control switches at the well are underpowered for what we need to not only fill the tower, but also simultaneously power the entire water system. They're 40, 60 pressure switches. He said they need to be at least 50. So this is to remove those 2 old pressure switches, upgrade them with the more powerful ones. Again, it's one of those maintenance things we probably should have done a long time ago. And he thinks that's one thing that will help with the pressure over at, keeping the tower.
Keeping the tower.
Yeah. What it is he can adjust these
Right.
newer ones, the pressure at the wells to a higher PSI.
So that when the tower drops.
The only one we got right now, do you could set a max limit for 60, but for pressure, for it to drop down, you can only go as high as 45.
Right.
So if he gets these other switches and put them in, what it'll do is make it so he can readjust the low pressure up to 50, have it maxed out at 55, and then that'll pretty much help keep the water tower filled up.
Yeah, what will happen is once the water tower, 56 PSI is full, is overflowing.
56?
Yeah, so he's thinking you don't want it to drop below 50. So if he can dial it in at the well so that when that water tower gets below 50, it will kick on and refill.
Right, and
which it wasn't doing.
That'll keep it maintained at a,
Hopefully we'll keep it maintained.
we can keep it.
Well, it's imperative that that water tower has water in it.
Oh, yes.
He said if it, back in the day before you had as many houses and all that you had running it, those were probably adequate. But he said now that you're trying to power your entire system and keep that tower full, it's just not enough. So,
Since that water system was put in play back in 89, 90, somewhere around 91, I think we've added a lot of customers. So,
schools.
we're using lots of bigger schools, both big schools. So, we're using a lot more water. I think this needs to be done.
Absolutely.
I make a motion to approve Clearwater Solutions to replace the 2 pressure switches, excuse me, at the well fields in the amount of $2,900.82.
Then a motion on the floor made by Vice Mayor Robert F. Remlin to approve CWS Clearwater Solutions to upgrade our pressure control switches and take care of the wiring in the amount of $2,900.82. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilmember Jimmy Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Five I, updates by Mayor Gray Leonard. One of the things that I want to ask our attorney to do is we've been requested again to read this I would call it an announcement or whatever by this ancient order of the Hybernarians as we did last year. Could you read this for us? Sure. That'll be it.
Okay, I'll start with the whereases.
Yes.
Whereas by 1776, nearly 300,000 Irish nationals had immigrated to the American colonies and played a crucial role in America's war for independence. And whereas 5 signers of the Declaration of Independence were of Irish descent and 3 signers were Irish born. And whereas Irish Americans helped to fashion a system of government for our young nation, and whereas 22 presidents have proudly proclaimed their Irish American heritage, and whereas in 1792, Irish-born James Oban provided the architectural plans for the White House and served as one of the supervising architects for the construction of the Capitol. And whereas Irish-born Commodore John Barry was recognized by the United States Congress in September of 2002 as the first flag officer of the United States Navy. And whereas Commodore John Barry fought the last sea battle of the American Revolution off the coast of Florida. And whereas in 1813, Captain Oliver Perry, an Irish American, achieved a major naval victory in the Battle of Lake Erie. And whereas in 1942, the five Sullivan brothers made the ultimate sacrifice for democracy and freedom during the naval battle of, I have no idea, Guadalcanal? Guadalcanal. And later had a destroyer, USS Sullivan, commissioned in their memory. And whereas the Irish first came to Spanish La Florida in the 1500s, first as missionaries and mercenary soldiers, then as planters, traders, businessmen, doctors, and administrators. And whereas three of the Spanish governors of La Florida were actually, what's that?
Yeah, you're right.
Were actually Irish military officers. And whereas F.R. Richard Arthur, former Richard, I don't know what F.R. stands for. F.R. Richard Arthur, Irish-born priest from father. Okay. Spelled it out. From Limerick, who was appointed parish priest for St. Augustine in 1597, an ecclesiastical judge of La Florida, established the first public school in America and opened it to both boys and girls of all races. And whereas Andrew Jackson, whose family came from County Antrim, served as Florida's military governor following the acquisition by the United States. And whereas Irish Americans, since America's inception, have provided and continue to provide leadership and service to this nation's political, business, and religious establishments. And whereas it is fitting and proper to celebrate the rich cultural heritage and the many valuable contributions of Irish Americans. Yeah, I guess the proclamation is for Irish American Heritage Month.
The Ancient Order of the Hibernians, ancient,
March has been designated the Irish American Heritage Month throughout the United States.
Oh, well, we ain't in February. We done ahead of time.
Well, they sent it to us and asked us to go ahead and put it in the record.
That's right.
It's done. Thank you, Scott. Okay. Okay. The only other thing I have that I'd like to talk about is, do you know what kind of progress we're making with the Volusia County School Board on the culvert on Washington Avenue that drains their school?
Well, what was decided, because it's in the list of the things that the federal government is looking at, we're at a push now, right? So if the federal government doesn't decide that they'll cover that as a storm repair, then we're going to have to argue with them.
Well, my question on that culvert is this. That's a main road going through to the school and one of the main traffic routes through the town of Pierson. That culvert is caving in, and something is going to have to be done with it. This is a legal question I'm going to pose to Scott. What would the legal ramifications be if we dug that culvert out and just filled it full of lime water? I mean, the only place that drains is the school. And it's washing out our street, and the culvert's caving in.
When we talked last time, I thought I heard the school's position was their water drains the other way. Is that correct? Or does it?
That is technically what the school is saying. They're saying that their water goes the other way.
Well, then we can just dig the culvert out and fill it in there.
Or sleeve it, you know, and
I guess you want to make sure before you filled in that culvert. I assume if that's the road, that's city right away? Or that culvert that's located on city
right in the middle of Washington Avenue.
But we don't need to block it. I mean, we could, there is a, you know.
It does serve a purpose for draining excess stormwater off. It does.
Yeah.
I just
in that field for sure.
I just can't believe that the school board is not willing to work with us because it drains the school board property.
We don't have probably any estimate of how long before the federal government comes back and says.
Ryan.
Sorry. I talked to Todd Bush today. as you know, the argument is we say that it drains from the school property under Washington to our ditch. The school says the opposite. They say our ditch drains under Washington to their property to a retention pond. So Todd said, let's get elevations on it, find out how it actually drains, and then make a decision based on that. If the school claims that our retention pond is draining into their property, I don't see why you wouldn't dig down, cap it off, and just take the culvert out from under Washington and just, like you said, pack base in there and pave back on top of it and be done with it. Because the ditch is, it seems like it's deep enough on the other side of the road.
That
Where's
ditch
it gonna
basically
go?
drains the edge of Washington Avenue.
But I did talk to Todd, and he had a few places in mind, because I said, let's go ahead and get a price to either sleeve it, like you said, and either way, you're gonna have to take up the asphalt there and repack it once it's sleeved or once you take it out. But Todd recommended getting a price to do both, and then based on what the elevations say and how it actually flows, making a decision at that time. Because, I mean, if it's flowing from the school property into our ditch and you cap it off, it's gonna back up somewhere on the school property, which at that point, that would be their problem, because their people told us that that is not how that worked. You know, so I don't know where it drains from on their property.
So is this guy Todd, he's with FEMA?
No, he works with,
Todd,
FEMA.
At this point, you're probably gonna have to fix it and ask FEMA to reimburse you, because FEMA is turning into a nightmare for us on everything we've asked for.
Not turning into.
Well, for this particular project.
Turned it into the last
But
10 years.
FEMA was not real confident about that one anyway, because there was no damage that they could see. Like on North Road, FEMA clearly came out and saw where the whole top of the road had been teared off. They knew that that was a problem, but when they got here, I mean, just us showing them some voids on either side of the road, they said, well, how do we know that this is?
Basically, they want us to wait until the road falls in.
Or they want you to do the repair. They want you to open it up, document it, take all the pictures, and then submit it to them.
Then submit it.
Reimbursed for what you spent on it. So they're not gonna come to you with an offer. They're, you know, so we're probably going to
It's
have
our
to fix
property, right? The culvert is on city property
it.
anyway.
Partly.
Well,
It
there's
does go
two-
onto their property.
there's two storm drain manholes
Right.
that are inside the school board fence. And the culvert connects to one of those manholes. Those two manholes appear to be connected from what Todd and I looked at.
Okay.
And the water flows out of those manholes on school board property through that pipe into the ditch on Washington Avenue.
Under the road, under Washington.
Under our road. And,
That's our position anyway.
that's our position. That's my
One option is, you know, the way the law is on flooding currently is it's based on reasonableness. If what a downstream person does to prevent the flooding on their property, is it reasonable if it causes flooding back up to the person upstream? It used to be, the law used to be you could just water flow downhill and the lower property owner had to take it. Now that's the way it is for unimproved land, but when you get to improved land, today the Supreme Court has said it's a reasonable analysis. Is what the improvements made by either property to protect their property owner to protect their property from flood, is it reasonable? Which is hard to give guidance on what is reasonable. My thought would be elevations would be good, but at some point I would send a letter to somebody at the school board and said, even though we believe that your water is flowing through this culvert, it is your position that you are not benefiting from this culvert at all. None of your stormwater drains through this. Based on your representations, we are going to take steps to fix and maybe block whatever we're going to do this culvert. If you disagree with this action, please let us know by a certain date. And you put the burden on them and say, look, you've told us you don't care if we block this off, that it's not going to affect your property. We don't sure we agree with you, but that's your representation, so we're putting it in writing to you, and we're putting you on notice. If you object to what we're going to do, you got to object by a certain date.
and then, or otherwise, we're gonna go do it. And now what we do, that's a different question. I don't know if you block it off or you line it,
Well, I think we need to
Mhm.
dig the thing up and pack it up with lime rock and do away with it.
So should we wait and
If
check the
that's-
elevation?
If that's the way this, yeah, but I would check the elevations first.
Well, here's the only thing that I foresee happening. Say you dig it up at the fence or at our right of way and you cap it off. Water is gonna flow, if it's truly flowing from the school to us, it's gonna flow to that manhole.
It's gonna
and it's
run
gonna have
over
no
the
flow,
road.
and it's gonna come up out of that manhole and it's still gonna end up on Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no drainage there, there's no grades there, so now that water is just gonna puddle on the side of Washington. So it will still be our problem. The school's not gonna care if the water runs out of their fence.
The problem with that culvert is that where the culvert is caving in
I see what it's doing.
is on the inside of the school board's fence, all the way out to the,
All
almost to
the
the
way
edge
out
of
to
the
the edge
street.
of the road. Mhm.
So
Sunk.
the only way you could replace that culvert and do it properly, there's gonna have to be some type of cooperation with the school board to connect that culvert pipe to those manholes. I mean, if you just put a piece of culvert pipe in there.
Yeah, you can't go off the city's right of way. Yeah, we can do work within our right of way, but we can't go.
But there's an area there that's on school board property where the sand is just washing straight in.
And that's got to be on the right of way. It's not that far off the road.
Yeah, it's on school property.
Is it?
It's
not on our right of way?
It's on the inside.
It's about probably, what, 10 feet off the fence?
Yeah, it's on those culvert pipes, those manholes are just on the inside of the
My
fence.
personal opinion is that culvert has been there longer than that new school has been.
Right.
Yeah.
That culvert, the town hasn't put no culvert in that road. What sense would it make for the town to put a culvert?
Yeah.
To go hook into there when we got a 8-foot ditch right there that it can drain down into, and then go down.
And if you remember, before that new school was there, when the old school was there was a huge retention pond in what used to be the student parking lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe that culvert pipe was put in there back in the 60s when they built the new school. It's not even there anymore.
Right, yeah.
The one that we went to school.
Right.
Yeah. New old school.
It's neither here nor there. We have to take some action with that culvert because the road it's caving in.
Well, either way, Todd and I had already talked about getting pricing for both ways, to either sleeve the culvert that's there to keep it from collapsing further. Either way, you gotta take the top of the road off, because even if you sleeve it, you've gotta pack limestone or something back around it,
Yeah,
and rebuild it, but.
I would think you would need some type of analysis of sleeving it. I think you can kind of say what we're doing is we're repairing what's there and there's still gonna be flood if we sleeve it, if I understand what a sleeve is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to block it off, it would be good to have somebody advise you as to what's gonna happen. In their opinion, expert opinion, stormwater engineer saying, this is what I think is gonna happen when you block this off. So you rely on some expert to tell you this is what's gonna happen, to do that. Because there's gonna be a consequence. Somebody put that there for a reason, obviously.
Well, elevations will tell us that.
Could help a lot.
And part, whatever
It would.
whatever solution they come up with, we're gonna need information.
Yeah.
And
Well, I basically told Todd, let's go ahead and do that, because we knew if FEMA's gonna wait for you to do the work regardless, so we might as well go ahead and address it now before it becomes an even bigger issue, before summer comes and the rain starts again.
Mhm.
So I think we talked about that late this afternoon, so I'll touch base with him again tomorrow and say that needs to become a priority.
Can we go ahead and get that and then maybe contact Volusia County and contact Built Right, some other people to give us a price on sleeving it and replacement, whichever way we have to go?
Yeah.
I still think we're gonna have to have cooperation with the school board because there's a piece of that that's caving in that's on school board property.
Well, the thing to do is find out what direction it flows and then contact the school board and say, okay, your characterization of it is that it's not coming onto the town's property or whatever. So if we repair this, here's what experts have told us is going to happen. You know, whether that's backflowing toward the school or whether it's overflowing out of that manhole and flooding Washington. But first, we need to figure out where the water's actually going to go if we do that. If we take it out.
Okay, so
That's the first step.
So we are working on this
Todd's
already.
working on that elevation as we speak.
When we talked this afternoon, that was his suggestion. He was going to make some calls. But I will remind him again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll talk to him as well.
Well, I would like to make sure that this item gets on the next agenda. So maybe we'll have some, if we have some answers by then, we need to have it on the next agenda. Okay. You have any updates?
Too early.
No, too early. Mark, do you have any updates on the 5K?
Yes, some updates. Already heard plenty about the wastewater system. Water system, you guys went over it very quickly, but the new pumps, I think were installed today. So.
The new pump was installed a couple of days
It was
ago.
installed past Friday.
Yeah, last Friday.
It was put back in service today.
Okay, so it's put back in service today. So between the other pump that wasn't damaged, which is only about 5 years old, and this one, you guys are good for, another 20 years on those pumps, provided there are no
Lightning strikes.
lightning strikes. So between that and the pressure switches, I think, the system is going to be, that plant, is essentially going to be functioning, like a much newer plant. You may have heard that the water samples at the new plant came clear. So right now, all that's necessary is there's paperwork that has to be done. So the engineer's been asked Mead Hunt's been asked to sign off. All that documentation is being prepared by CWS. It gets put in front of Mead Hunt. They have to sign it, and then goes to the state, and they'll,
How long do you think we are from bringing those on? A month? 6 weeks?
Should be less than that, but yes, at that time frame.
Okay.
And so the water system, you guys invested a lot in it, and you should be, very, very proud of everything that's been done, and it's going to be, it's going to solve a lot of problems in terms of, these pressures and all that stuff will be a thing of the past. Obviously, there'll still be issues with the distribution system itself. And at some point, we have to talk about kind of moving on to, looking at all those valves. Because there are, a lot of valves in that system that probably have not been exercised in every year. There's probably a lot of improvements that, people could realize just by adjusting those valves. And some of them may be, not open as far as they could be, and just simply being able to get those valves exercised and work, you'll have significant improvements in localized pressure. So, that's something you guys have to think about as the next phase. So that's what's going on with the water system. And I'll be here Thursday to meet people and talk about their land use and zoning questions.
If I may have a latitude to go back to my update, I did talk to Todd about those valves, and I think he's going to try to give me a size on those valves and maybe get an estimated cost, maybe like a year and a half out of what it may cost to replace those valves.
You're talking about one individual, because we don't know what valves might need to be replaced.
Well, all those valves roll.
They're all over.
And what I'd reached out to our grant writers, Melissa and can't think of his name.
Fox.
Fred Fox. And there's going to be an opportunity to apply for some, provided we've used the grant money up for the wells by that time, there's going to be an opportunity coming up in, I think, in maybe March to apply for some grant money if we know kind of what those valves are going to cost. But we need to have an idea of how much money we need before we ask for a grant. I mean, if we get 200,000, it's gonna cost 500,000 to replace the valve we're backing up.
Well, I mean, we need to all make sure that we're on board about the grant money too, if that's what we're gonna use it for. And, cause I mean, there's lots of stuff we need to use grant money for. I mean, I agree that the water and these valves do need to, but once
That, I think
they're
that,
all coming up, because I mean, roads, some of this, we got lots to work on there.
well, I would, encourage anybody that can find any grant money to repair roads to
Yeah, good luck.
let me know where you're at.
Yeah. You can build new roads, you can't fix old ones.
That's what I found out through FDOT.
Yeah.
Well,
But I think
CDBG can be used for road repairs, but like, I
Yes.
think we've talked about this before.
And it's
CDBG
not-
is a finite amount of money, and they prioritize a lot of water and wastewater projects because of the health aspect of it. So if one city turns in water main improvements and we turn in a road project, they
Gonna
might
get it.
score higher
Yes.
and select over us. So Fred's opinion is that you're almost throwing away your chances by trying to get money to do roads.
To do roads.
I can understand that.
Mhm.
I mean, you could try, you could always apply, but, you know.
And I don't know if there's any grant money available through, the US DOT, United States Department of Transportation or
Well,
not.
there's grant money out there from everywhere. It's a
Well, not
year
right now,
review.
there's not. There's been a,
Yes, stop funding.
yeah, there's no federal funding at all.
No, there might be a lot of money out there.
Yeah, right.
Soon, but
Yeah.
not right now.
Yeah.
But that's something that we need to really try to do, is get some grant money to replace those valves.
And I know that Todd is working on also, Mark, correct me, on a map and a
We
layout of the whole entire water
We
plant.
haven't started it yet,
We-
but we're looking into options.
We did that. Mark, didn't we do
Not up
that?
to
We do that, but we don't have, it doesn't have all the
I
valves.
thought it had all the valves and everything.
It's got the hydrants on it, the one that I saw.
Yeah, no, it has hydrants on it, it has the line locations, but no, it doesn't have, so we didn't have the data as to where, somebody's gonna have to go out
Physically look at it.
with a device and.
Oh,
I know he's been talking to
Didn't Todd do that too?
I would take like one day out of the week, every week, with me, go around and do check on all these valves, so he can start getting them into the system that he's working on.
Basically, they need to be in GIS, they need to be
Yeah,
satellite.
right.
You know,
Yes, yes, yes.
Florida Rural Water recommended one, there's one that Todd uses on his phone. But essentially, we need to map it, and then he and I discuss, number one, finding all the valves, and then sort of a color-coded priority list. Okay, these don't work at all, these somewhat work, these are good. And then you would just make a priority list and say, okay, we're either through grant funds or through budgeting or whatever, we're gonna replace X amount of them a year for this many years until they're all done. But I'm sure, to apply for something like CDBG, you're gonna have to have a plan. You can't just go in.
No, you gotta
You have to
have
I mean, you gotta have plans.
Yeah.
So,
But in the original blueprints, shouldn't that be a starting point of,
It is a starting point.
Yeah, but we've
Valves
added so
to-
much stuff to it, is from what Todd told me, that
yeah.
it just
Yeah,
never
there's a lot
had
that's
been
been
updated.
changed, yeah.
Yeah.
but like the valves to compartmentalize certain areas? I mean, that
Correct.
should be
I mean,
part of
they
the
control,
original.
they compartmentalize, so if you have a break, if you have all these valves working, so you don't have to do a boil water on your whole
Right.
system, you can isolate that area, right? Also, they control localized pressure, so.
Well, it became evident to us or myself, when we had that water main break on Shaw Lake Road, we had no way of cutting that water off. The only way they was able to repair that was open a whole lot of fire hydrants, reduce the water pressure a little bit, and get the gas in there and bolt the pipes back together. I mean, there was no way to turn that water off that we could
No,
find.
you could turn that water off.
I know, but that
But
section.
you turn off the whole town. Too many people.
Exactly. There was no way of,
So the way we done it was the best way. There was very little pressure coming out the end by shutting off one valve and turning on for them fire hydrants.
Right.
That took the pressure off them right where they was working.
And thanks to Jimmy, we were able to get it accomplished. So, and of course, all the guys working with that. That's when it became evident to me that we have a problem with the amount of valves that we have. Moving along, do you have anything, Vice Mayor?
I do have something that I want to bring up and put on the next meeting's agenda. When our former mayor, left us, I thought it would be good to present him a really nice plaque. Ryan, do you have it?
It's in the office.
Okay. Anyway, I had Ryan get a real nice plaque recognizing him for his 37 years
Yes.
of dedication to the town, service and dedication to the town. And I would like our attorney to write a resolution in that fact, thanking, and I'd like to present it to him at our next agenda.
That sounds
If
good.
that's all right with
Yeah,
y'all.
that sounds fine with me. I think that's a good idea.
And, other than that, I think that's it.
Yep, I got a couple things. Over at the old wood dump, there's a bunch of metal over there that needs to be put in on the dump truck and hauled to the scrap yard and get rid of it. All that stuff that's still piled up over there needs to be gone.
I agree, it needs to be cleaned up.
And the second thing I've got is that backhoe we got over there. It needs to be checked out to see if it's gonna be worth fixing or put it in the
scrap pile.
Scrap pile and get rid of it too. But from what Chris was telling me, it will run, but it don't run very far before it quits. So I think we need to get the guy that usually works on our stuff, Rusty, and have him check it out, see if it's worth putting our money into.
Doesn't it have no brakes or bad brakes?
No, the problem is like we use it for burning a lot too. The last time it was used for burning, poured dust and pulled up in pile, it shut off.
Oh, boy.
And then right before he was ready to jump off that sucker, he finally got it cranked back up. For some reason, it shuts off whenever the heck he wants to.
So there's just gotta be something that needs to be fixed.
If y'all ever want to burn it, because by law, we gotta have 2 pieces of equipment.
Well, I would take your recommendation and get,
I think we need to
Rusty.
get him to come and look at it and see what it costs us to fix it. I didn't say tell him to come fix it.
Oh, I got it.
Have him come and look at it and see if he can fix it. But that backhoe was bought brand new and it's been well used for years. It done a lot of work in this town.
Well, then
let's try to see if it can be fixed. If not,
well,
sooner or later, we're gonna have to
between you and Lewis, can you contact, Russell Pierson and have him come?
You got his number, don't you, Lewis? Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say, I got his number.
I don't have his number.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think that was it.
Councilwoman Lynn Richardson.
Yes, thank you. We had agreed at the last meeting about a resolution to increase the permitting fees.
I forgot to put it on the agenda.
Okay,
I have it, I completely forgot to put it on the agenda.
okay.
It's already.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's already approved, right? I mean, we already
You
approved.
instructed us, we talked about a 20% increase on the permit fee, and you instructed us to do a resolution,
Okay.
so it's done.
Going on the next agenda. And, I've noticed it's kind of slow in the office right now. I'd like to have, Yvonne and Marcy get out there and get that records room in order.
I agree.
Third. Third it,
You third
yes.
And,
It's, we've been here for a year now.
I would be, willing to, pitch in and help them. I mean, they have to be there and all that.
I did,
She has to, yeah.
I did that last time we probably did anything in there.
Yeah, that needs
She has
to
to,
be,
somebody, they have to be there with you.
I think that probably needs to be a priority for our, clerk, deputy clerk and whoever to get that squared away. I agree.
You know, I mean, if they wanna bring in a load of stuff at a time into that big conference table and go through things or something, but that has got to be addressed.
I agree.
So, you want me to mention it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay.
I got something else, Greg.
Yes, sir.
The old yellow tractor that we've got over there, that's underneath the shed, Louis had worked on it. And he had put a two-way valve on it. And that takes a three-way valve. But that's a piece of equipment that can be put at the burn piles, you know, because you gotta have two pieces of equipment.
That tractor, you already have to put on the list of auction, so that's been given Brian for the auctioning off list. So there's no sense to even talk about that.
I mean, we haven't auctioned anything, we just.
We hadn't put it on auction yet, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you haven't put it on the list, so.
You think the valve is all?
The valve is one thing that is only, but
It's one of the issues. Next one is the starter smoking, even when a brand new starter was put on. They finally put a brand new starter on it.
so, I mean.
You turn the key, but it starts smoking like.
Goes to smoking?
It's on fire.
The starter went out when they was trying to crank it or something. But, I mean, the old yellow tractor has got, the motor that's in it don't have that many hours actually on it.
What about the rest of the tractor besides the motor? I mean.
It still worked before. They don't like to drive it because it's the foot, when you driving it, mowing with it, your feet get hot because the muffler's right down there on the feet. But I mowed with it for many a year.
I know about that for sure.
But anyway, we put a brand new motor in it not too long before I left, retired.
Well, hell no, that, y'all had a new motor in there before I even started, Jimmy. It's been a long time, that thing. Long time. Y'all did that before I even started.
I know the motor don't have that many hours on it, that old tractor. We just need to do something with it.
Well.
Use it or.
I think we need to.
Right on the auction list.
I think we need to get rid of it. I mean,
That'll help buy another one.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
We need to get rid of that and try to use that to help us.
That's like that backhoe. If it's not gonna be fixable, we can get rid of it too. Just a lot of that old equipment we've got, grade needs to be downsized and get rid of.
I agree. I think that's one thing Lewis was working on, was putting together a list of all the equipment we need to get rid of.
Usually the cities bring those to be declared surplus.
Right.
And it comes to you all, you know, to put
And
them
I
on
think that's what,
surplus.
I think Lewis is putting together
Yeah.
a list of that. Okay, is there anybody in the audience that has, would like to ask anything? Yes, sir. Will you come up to the podium, please?
Yes.
And we need you to state your name and address.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, my name's Daryl Hickman, live in Ormond Beach. I've been in front of you guys before.
Yep.
I use your airport. I have a one-person business, and I come over here fairly regularly. I sent you all an email last week. It's come to my attention that you're considering closing the airport. by your airport manager. He told me that. As I've done in the past couple of years, I'll present the city a check to help with airport maintenance. And I just ask you to think carefully about keeping the airport open. In that email, I offered my assistance in any way I can to help you obtain funds to help the airport. And Mr. Lewis, I offered my assistance in maintaining the airport if you need it as well. Okay. I'll give that to the clerk.
So what is the scope of your business?
I do tailwheel training. It's a vintage style aircraft, but it's a modern
Is
aircraft.
it the yellow airplane?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
And people come from around the country to train with me. And Pierson is a beautiful facility for us to use that old-timey airplane, which was designed to be on grass. And as you may know, there's not many grass strips around this area. And we often stop it for lunch and go up to the barbecue stand or down to the Mexican restaurant. And sometimes we'll walk all the way down to the family restaurant. And 2 years ago, at age 64, my wife, who's in the audience, soloed the airplane for the first time out of Pierson. So she has her license now. So it's very important to me that the airport is maintained. Thank you for your time.
I don't think we're rushing to close the airport, but I think what we're trying to do is to make sure the airport will pay for itself.
I'd be happy to help with that. I've offered that in writing, and whatever the clerk needs or Mr. Lewis needs help there, happy to come over and put some sweat equity into it as well. I grew up on a farm. My wife grew up on a farm.
Well,
drive a tractor.
Maybe you and I can get together and spend half a day or a few hours over at the airport and put our heads together and see what we can come up with.
Let me know.
The airport is closed though, right? Because
it's open now.
Oh, it is
It's
open back up.
reopened.
It had been closed.
It was temporarily closed due to all the rain we had. It was closed through February the 1st, I believe.
Yeah.
And so Olin took care of not extending the NOTAM or the notice to airmen, and we took the X's off the runway, so it is back open.
Back open.
Yes. It was closed because it was so
right, yeah, because it was so wet.
Whatever you need, you let me know. My phone
number. Do you have a card?
I do.
Let me have it. If you have one of those with you, let me have it that way. I think I have your number, but I just want to make sure that I do.
Yeah, I'll give you a card.
Yeah, but I just
I'm kind of
have a backup.
too. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Darryl. Anyone else? Okay, being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Oh, I do have a couple things before we leave. We have next regular council meeting is on Tuesday, February the 18th at 6:30. And following that, we're going to have one on March the 1st at 6:30. And you have March the 4th, excuse me. And the planning commission meeting is on Tuesday, February the 25th at 6 p.m. Oh, yes. And also, we have the Pierson Vendor Market that's going to be on Saturday, February 15th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We appreciate it.
No further business.
No further business. We're adjourned.